Okay. So good evening, good evening. Glad everybody's here. It's our last, really kind of like our last official like lesson together, 11.3. Wednesday, I said in the email, I plan to do have review. So that chapter 9 and 11 review worksheet, we'll plan to work on that one together and start working on your sample final exam. Just like the midterm, if you turn that in, I will be giving a bonus back points percentage up to 25% of your missed points from the final. But that needs to be completed, and let's just go to the course and let's see when that actual due date is. There will be no more late assignments. Chapter 11, I've been extremely gracious, I think, about allowing things to be turned in late. What do I have for that last week? Let me see here. On Monday. So that needs to be done on Monday because I want to have that graded, assessed, and ready to go. So that needs to be done on Monday. Your chapter 11 project could be turned on Tuesday. The earlier that gets turned in, the better though. And then the final exam, I'm planning that for Wednesday. So I need to send out an email about that. If you know already, it's going to be, I'm going to have times all day on Wednesday available. I will not be able to do Saturday unless you're going to take it Saturday before everybody else, because I have to have grades in 48 hours after the class technically ends. So people need to make arrangements. If you are in a situation where you're like, there's absolutely nothing I can work around for that Wednesday, you need to email me, but I'm going to send out an email about that tonight. So otherwise we'll be planning times for next Wednesday, the 28th for your final exam. And I will have several versions of that going out. So just like the midterm, when you log in, I will email you the final document. You can either work on it on your computer or you can print it and write on it and then submit it that way as well. Those are your two options. So how about we not look at my pizza, my dinner. We look at the worksheet. There we go. So hopefully everybody caught my my video for 11.3. It was in my brain that I was going to remake that the other day, and then yesterday it was like dawned on me that I hadn't done that yet. So and I realized that I think I looked at my calculator wrong when I wrote up the confidence interval on that one problem the first time because it was incorrect. So I'm glad I did that. So we're working on worksheet 2 and 3 tonight for chapter 11.3. It is all about two independent samples. So either we need data, which we have for this first example, or we need summary statistics where we would have the mean and standard deviation, the sample size from one sample, and the mean and standard deviation sample size from the other sample. So you're looking to see if we're comparing two groups to each other. Then you are going to go to your yellow sheet. That says you're comparing two independent means. And then if I ask you to explain them, you will do so, the 4 requirements. Again, you need to let me know that it's a simple random sample. The independent samples, so samples are independent of each other. The samples are independent of the population. So you need to show me those 2 pieces there with the 5% of the, and then also I keep going over this, but I still keep seeing folks, I finished up grading the chapter 10 projects today. And this is your sample size. This is the population size N. We do not know that the majority of the time. Also on your chapter 9, 10, and 11 projects, it is important that you go back and watch the videos because today we're not doing proportions, but you do in the project, right? And you need to know what X is, and you need to know what little n is. It's your sample size. X is the number of colors that you have, and P hat is X divided by N. We went over this it feels like several thousand times, but I'm sure it hasn't been. more than probably 10 times, but folks are still writing them incorrectly on the sheet for the project. I'm circling and making comments and sending you emails, but people are still making the same mistakes on the next project. So please, like, at least let me think that you're looking at my comments. Please, please, please. Even if you only miss one point on the project, you should go and look at it, because it's probably going to correct something for the next project or for your final. So just a comment there, side comment. So whatever we choose for our hypothesis, if we think that mean 1 is less than mean 2, or that we don't think the means are equal to each other, or we think mean 1 is greater than mean 2, we are going to then draw the appropriate picture that's going to match these. We will state the level of significance right in the problem that will be stated. And then your test statistic, your fancy little z-score here, is a t statistic, because we're using a t curve, and that will come out of your stat crunch. And then you're going to draw your picture, and then you're going to compare your p-value to your alpha. Also, you only reject H0 when your p-value is less than alpha. If your p-value is bigger than alpha, you do not reject. And then your conclusion is stated from there. So how about we look at this data here from 11.3. Says, in an agricultural experiment, the effects of 2 fertilizers on the production of oranges were measured. Randomly selected plots of land in 2 separate fields, A and B, were selected. The number of pounds of harvested fruit was measured from each. So that you can see in fertilizer A, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, there were 16 in that sample, right? That they measured the pounds, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So in sample 2, there were only 12 plots that they measured. Okay, so we have the data pulled up for fertilizer A and B. And the very first thing that they ask us to do is verify that the requirements necessary to construct a confidence interval have been met. So what shall we be looking for? Anybody want to walk us through that? And I will do the writing. I'll be the writer downer.
Well, the first one is random because it's stated in the top portion.
Okay, yep, there we go. What else?
We have to prove that it's dependent, right? Or wait, no, that's independent. Independent because they're not related.
They shouldn't be, right?
Mm-hmm.
They said there were 2 separate fields, so okay. So 2 independent fields, excellent. What's our third requirement?
We have to make sure that the number of fields chosen is independent of all fields.
So we can do
16 is less than 5% of all fields.
I think that's sufficient to say. And because if we did the 20 times, that would be 320 fields. There's probably 320 fields in my county. Adrian too, or Lenawee County, if any of you live over in Lenawee. Oh, Hillsdale too, I drive through there. There's all kinds of fields between Coldwater and Hillsdale. And then sample 2 is 12, and I would agree that is satisfied for the same reason. And then what is the fourth requirement here?
We have to use the plot to make sure they're normal.
Mhm. So those are both less than 30, and so we have to use the plots, and they look pretty linear without any outliers, I would say. Okay, so I think that's good to go. Okay, so now it says find the following. So we're going to fill in the table. So we're going to go back to StatCrunch and we're going to fill in our N and A. So the A fertilizer, there were 16 in that sample size, and there were 12 in the fertilizer B. So we have to go back and get the mean for each and the standard deviation for each, and then the confidence interval. 98%. We got to remember that because we've been doing 95, 95, 95. And okay. So let's go to StatCrunch, and we have data. So we're going to go to stat, and we're going to go to T-stats and to sample with data this time. And we're going to choose fertilizer A and fertilizer B. We can disregard the optional where. We don't need that. Oops, fertilizer B. We do not need to pull our variances, and we're doing a confidence interval this time. And we're making it a 98% confidence interval. And there it is. Except for I think that I might have typed something incorrect because it doesn't quite match what I've had before. Anybody else get something? I think. That's our difference. I typed. Oops. Okay. I really want to double check my data. So we're going to have to just do some summary statistics here. So let's just do summary statistics on A first and get that. So our summary statistic, the mean for the A fertilizer is 457.31, and the standard deviation is 38.48, and that's what I've had before, so that's fine. I'm going to scoot that down, and then let's do a summary statistic for B. .33. That's what I had before. 405.33, and standard deviation as 13.97. And let's get this out of the way. I'm gonna run this again. Wow. I said 98. Did I make this 98 this time? I think I did. I must have clicked on maybe.
You misclicked. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we've done pooled before, so I just want to check on if I do the pooled, if that makes a difference, but it shouldn't because we've always done not pooled. Yeah, that's I don't know what I'm typing. Sometimes I'm typing it wrong. Are you all getting the same thing I have?
Yes.
This is weird.
What are we supposed to have?
Well, I think last time I got 33.98 and 69.98, which is
Did you check your inputs in your two columns, rows? Columns.
I thought I did. Can somebody double check my data real quick? So what I did have is actually a smaller, so that means maybe I ran it before as a higher confidence. Oh no, a lower confidence. I bet that's what it was.
Yeah, you might have forgotten to change it from 95 to 98.
T-stats, two sample with data. I'm gonna leave it at 95 and see if that's, oh, I keep thinking I'm clicking on fertilizer B, but I'm not. That didn't really change it much, did it? That was 95. It gets it closer. I'm gonna change it to 93. Trying to figure out why I'm not getting what I've had before. And B. So let's go lower, 93. Right, lower would be, no, what, no, higher, right? Higher would be, no, lower confidence, lower confidence. Anybody else have any ideas? Anybody check my data?
Yeah, you have it entered right.
Thank you. Well, there it is, I think. I must have done it as a 90%. So I think what we did is correct. I just wanted to verify why I was getting something that didn't make sense to me. So let's go back to what we know we want. A and B, and we want 98%. We want to be super confident, so it's going to be wider. So ours is 25.596 to 78.362. So okay. Let's just make sure everybody has the same thing written down that I have. Just it's okay to double check me. So based on this confidence interval that we just got for the 98, so that was a great experiment, right? And seeing how you change your confidence and what happens to the interval. We just got to play around with that a little bit. Based on the confidence interval, is it reasonable to assume that fertilizer A and B are different? What do you guys think? Is there any reason to think that they're different?
Yes, ma'am.
Why is that?
Because 0 is not included in the confidence interval, right?
Mm-hmm. And we even became really confident and less confident, and none of them included 0, did they? So no matter what we do, they're definitely different. Yes, we can say they are different because 0 is not in the confidence interval. Heads up, if you have not looked at the chapter 11 project, it is definitely longer than 9 and 10. It's kind of 9 and 10 together, because I think I do have you, if I remember correctly, I do have you do a confidence interval, and I do have you do a hypothesis test with comparing the M&Ms and Skittles. And Brendan, if Brendan was actually nodding to me, he was agreeing with me, unless he was dancing to some music. But were you agreeing with me, Brendan? I do have you do, okay, I thought so. I'm not totally losing it, just sort of. Okay, let's look at the next one. It says medical researchers conducted a study to determine whether treadmill exercise could improve walking ability of patients suffering from calication. I'm not sure what that is, which is pain caused by insufficient blood flow to the muscles of the legs. Well, I have that every time I run. A sample of 48 patients walked on a treadmill for 6 minutes every day. That's group 1. After 6 months, they had their mean distance walked, standard deviation. For a control group of 45 patients who did not walk on a treadmill, their mean distance was 315 meters and a standard deviation. So test whether the mean distance walked for patients using a treadmill is greater than the mean for the control group. Okay. So walking on the treadmill is good, but have you guys been seeing that they're telling people don't get a Peloton, right? I think is, or is it Peloton? I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Peloton or Peloton? Somebody correct me.
It is a Peloton.
Okay. So this is Mrs. Oh, I thought I had my video on. I turned that off. So here's the loop of what's going on in the world, and I'm somewhere over here on most items. So anyway, I did have to say it right. I do work out. I just don't own a Peloton. Anyway, but I don't know why they're saying
You don't need one.
you can just run outside. But anyway, I've been using regular old treadmills forever. I mean, the same thing could happen on any old treadmill. If you let your child get near a treadmill unattended, even attended, they could accidentally, like their pants could get caught in a treadmill. I mean, it's just, you just have to be cautious. It doesn't matter what brand it is. Does anybody know what the deal is with that? To me, they're just like picking up this one brand and they're all of a sudden saying that they're bad things.
I actually have a Peloton.
Okay.
I actually have a bunch of workout equipment out down here. Like
I saw that.
My children know.
Huh?
My children know. They don't go over there. Like this is my dining room table. They do not pass the edge of the dining room table and go in there. They know better. There's like a little teeny area over here. It's got all my stuff. They know because we also have like a full workout bench and everything. My husband uses it and he can bench press a heck of a lot more than I can. And my kid knows those are not toys.
Yeah.
You do not play with them because they can get hurt.
I mean, I know that, yeah, and accidents happen, but it's just weird that it's just now coming out and it's just one company that they're talking about. But anyway, maybe I missed something. Okay, so it says test. So test means that we're going to run a hypothesis test, right? They want to know whether the distance walked for patients using the treadmill is greater. So we need to know that word. So our hypothesis statement, and because we're comparing two groups, we're going to call them mean 1 and mean 2 for treadmill and no treadmill. Or do you want me to do T? I'm going to do T and NT for T for treadmill and NT. I have to have a way for myself to keep these straight. So we're going to say the mean of the treadmill is equal to the mean of the no treadmill people, right? And they're producing that the treadmill people actually can walk further than the no treadmill people. If you did 1 and 2, that's totally cool, as long as you have a way to keep it straight when you go to analyze. So what are we testing at? The 0.05. And then StatCrunch is going to give us a test statistic, right? When we get there. And then our picture, because it's a right-tailed, and then 5 here is the p-value and the alpha. um 0.05, and then we're going to have a conclusion. So how about we hop over to StatCrunch? I encourage everybody to type in their own data. Does anybody want to share their screen with us and be the typer?
I can.
Okay, I gotta, oh, I gotta press the right button here. Okay, super.
So you want me to explain what we're doing, or?
Cheers. Somebody else want to do the voiceover for Trevor?
I'm just gonna go to T-stats and then 2 samples and with summary.
Excellent.
And then we're gonna have our sample 1, which is our treadmill. And we already have the mean, which is 348 meters.
Yeah, and 80.
What's that?
80 is your standard deviation. I was trying to help you. And there were 45 of those patients. Were there 48? Yep, 48, and then 45 for the next. Yep. So the next group had a mean of 315 and 87 was their standard deviation. And there were 45 of them.
Hypothesis. And then we just want to do greater than.
Excellent.
Compute.
Excellent. Okay. So what is important here? What do we need to grab for our paper?
The 1.9 p statistic.
Okay.
And the p-value.
And the p-value is 0.0303. And so just stopping there for just a minute and just going back to chapter 3, if we kind of used our rules in chapter 3 about being unusual, would this fancy z-score or this test statistic, right? That's basically what it is a fancy z-score. Would this be unusual if we went back to our chapter 3 rules? I think Ashley's shaking her head.
No,
No,
because it hasn't quite reached the 2 standard deviations.
Right.
So it'd be just before.
Right, it would be just before it. So, and we are using the typical rule because we're using the 0.05. So perfect. So, Terrell, if you don't mind unsharing, and then I'll show my paper so we can all make sure that we're grabbing the same information here. And so there's our test statistic, 1.9. And here's our p-value. And our p-value is less than alpha. 0.03 is less than 0.05. And so we do reject H0. And so we can say there is sufficient evidence to say that the treadmill does improve walking ability. Now, I do have a question for you, that this has nothing to do with this exact problem, but do our subjects know that they are getting the treatment or not getting the treatment?
They do know that they're getting it because you can't really not know that you're riding a treadmill or not know that you're not
Right,
using it.
right. So I just want you to always be thinking like the grand scope of things. If you're ever creating an experiment, something like this, I mean, could it be that somebody's like, yes, I'm part of the treatment group, I'm on that treadmill, and they're all excited about like seeing some improvement in themselves? Do you think that could maybe raise their spirits and give them a reason to try to like walk a little bit further? So not to say that it would confound the complete results, but it was close, right? 0.03 to 0.05. It was kind of a close call there. So just something for y'all to think about when you're if you're in nursing school and you're reading experiments, if you're in business school or whatnot, just always kind of be thinking about those things. And it's like, well, you know, there could be some confounding lurking variables here that could change things up a little. Okay, how's everybody doing so far? Okay, so how about we move to worksheet 3, not worksheet 3, but number 3 in worksheet 2 here. And I'll turn the page there. So it's this one here. We've been given some printout information. It says, how often does the average driver have an accident? Eek. The Allstate Insurance Company determined the average number of years between accidents for drivers in a large number of US cities in the east versus the west of the country. The confidence interval results and summary statistics are below. Okay. So it says compute the standard error of the X bar. And then compute the standard deviation of just the west. So we need to find the standard error of just the X bar of the east with the standard deviation here. So this standard error is going to be the standard deviation of 1.472 divided by the square root of 32, the n, right? So we should be becoming professionals at this part. So the standard error of the east would be, I feel like we're talking about the Wicked Witch of the east and the west. The standard error of the east is 0.2602. And then we have to go the opposite direction for computing this, the individual sample standard deviation of the west, right? Because we know the standard error. So that's 0.3372. And we're going to multiply by the square root of 32 to get the standard deviation, the sample of the west. And we come up with 1.907. A calculator here. So it says, what is the point estimate for the difference between the two groups? So we would actually take the difference between their means. So that would be X bar 1 minus X bar 2. So 9.153 minus 9.509. It's going to be a negative point. I was going to try to do it.
356, negative 0.356.
Oh, geez. What did you say it was? You threw me off there because you were so quick and I was typing.
Negative 0.356.
Awesome. Thank you, Kara. I was like, whoa. It frightened me a little bit. That was good. Okay. What is the margin of error for the confidence interval? So we can take the upper limit, right? There's a couple different ways we can do it. Upper minus lower divided by 2, or the upper minus the point estimate. So 0.4962 minus a negative 0.356. What'd you get, Kara? 0.8522?
Yeah,
Okay. What do we think about this interval, everyone?
It is not significant because 0 is included in it.
Okay, so this one is not. There is not a significant difference between the east and west of the US in driving accidents and and that's because 0 is within the confidence interval. But they weren't talking about us Midwesterners, right? So I'd like to see how we fared. They were just comparing the East and the West. Any questions on that one? So a little early, but how about we take just like a quick 5-minute break or so, come back, and then we'll work on worksheet 3 together. See how many people we have in breakout rooms here.
313.
Gotcha. Thank you.
No problem, no problem.
Alrighty, now we are interpreting the confidence. We are 90% confident. What are we testing?
I don't know.
That the concentration of benzene was between the confidence interval.
yes.
I guess so. And then I think we have to do the unit. So it'd be between what 2.687 and 6.2313 milligrams per liter.
You gotcha.
Liter. And then does the interval appear to show a significant difference in the two groups?
I'm gonna go with yes because 0 is not included.
Exactly. Uh-oh. Woo woo. Works for me.
Sweet.
Okay, when everyone's ready, I'll read number 2.
I'm ready when you are.
Sweet sauce. Number 2, a researcher asked students with jobs how many times they went out to eat in the last week. And they asked a random group of students with part-time jobs and a separate group, students with full-time jobs, and the data shown below. So that's something. Okay, so the full-time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
26.
11, 12, 13, 26.
This data is, it's in, StatCrunch.
Is it already? Okay, cool.
I think they're both 26.
They
So
are.
yeah, if you want to open StatCrunch, then we can quickly just find all the values.
Yes, except let me, that way I can actually like exit full screen, please. No? Okay, let me stop this. Because I cannot reach my tabs.
Just keep it.
All right, this is 11.3. Worksheet review number 2. Alrighty. Well, what is this? Do I have the right one? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we'll just first do, what is it, summary statistics for the first one and then for the second one?
Yes.
Just do column 1 first.
Yeah, must be when I saved it. I saved it, the answer's there, which is fine, but that doesn't really help you much.
I saw that and I was like, oh, okay.
If I go back and save it, I could probably save it without the.
So to mean for full-time is 4.19. It's gonna round to nearest 2. Standard deviation 1.77. Second one 2.57. 1.61. Okay.
I got the second one right there.
Once everyone's got one of those down, we can work on part B. How many times do we need to go to eat?
All right.
Okay, so part B, the researcher believes that the average amount of time students go out to eat is different when they are full-time versus when they are part-time. Test the claim at a 1% level of significance shown in all steps. Okay. Assume all the requirements are met. Heckle yeah. So what does the first thing look like, everyone? The null hypothesis statement.
So HO mu 1 equals mu 2.
Mm-hmm. Strongest Pokemon there is. Continue.
And then mu 1 would be
It just says different, so that'll be not equal to.
not equal to.
Mm. Mewtwo.
So
Okay. What's the what does alpha equal?
That would be 0.99, right? No.
Alpha?
Would that be 0.01 then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because alpha equals the level of significance. Okay. Then obviously 3 is finding the test statistic. 4, what kind of graph are we dealing with?
two-tail.
Two-tailed? Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, then 5 is p-value, comparing it to level significance. 6 is how we'll finish it off. Okay. And when everyone's ready, we'll have Ashley put the stuff into the old computer.
It's this. Looks
Is
like
that what it is?
Yes.
thinking so. Oh,
Okay, so we only need T-stat, which I'm gonna do 2.79.
Yep.
2.79, which
That-
is obviously the 2 points on the graph, 2.79 and negative 2.79.
mhm.
And the p-value is 0.0074. So what does it mean between the p-value and the level of significance?
Our alpha is greater, so we are going to reject H0.
Mm-hmm. Sweet sauce. So who wants to say what our, I guess, our verbal conclusion would be?
Alrighty. There is sufficient evidence that the number of times students with part-time versus full-time jobs go out to eat.
Mhm.
Cool, cool, okay.
So what was the formal write-up?
I'm writing there is sufficient evidence that the number of times full-time versus part-time students go out to eat is different.
Okay, I would agree with that.
Sweet sauce. And then we can move to the next page. Okay. A new, unless everyone, is anyone still writing anything down?
No.
Okay. So let's go to the next page. A new post-surgical treatment, group 1, was compared with a standard treatment, group 2, and the recovery times in days are compared for 2 separate random groups of patients for a common surgical procedure to see if the new post-surgical treatment will lower average recovery time. Okay, so we got all the data here. We might as well find the standard deviation for the control group. It's probably going to ask it somewhere. Yeah, they ask it on the next page. But we can do that. Let's just do the A, finding the requirements. So the first one being random. It was stated. Okay, so 2.
Independent samples of each other.
Mm-hmm. So independent, 2 different treatments. Three, we gotta do the. I think we gotta do the whole, making sure they're large enough. So we have N1, which they both have 7. I mean, it has to be less than,
10% of all surgical patients, I'm assuming.
yeah,
Excuse me.
which it probably is. Sounds about right.
That goes for both of them.
Mhm. And then 4,
And
they
it's-
are not greater than or equal to 30. But luckily, they gave us the graphs above and they look pretty linear.
I would agree.
I would agree.
So it looks like all of our requirements are met. And then B, it was basically what I stated on the other page, that we gotta find the standard deviation for the control group. That, we already did that.
Does anyone remember on the top of their head how they find the standard deviation?
That would be the standard error times the square root of n, which is 7.
That's me. So square root of 7 times, I don't know, we could probably just put the whole giant standard derivative in there, or standard error. And I'll quickly put that in my calculator. Square root of 7 multiplied by, what was it, 2.
25528,429.
Thank you. And then what I got, round 3 decimal places would be 6.754. Yeah.
Thank you. Alrighty, we have to state the hypotheses in symbols and words.
Oh no, not words.
I know, I'm the same way. I'm like, no.
My weakness. Takes all my effort just to read the questions out loud.
Oh.
Okay, so the symbols. Who wants to state those boys?
mu1 equal to mu2. Well, lower average, so mu1 is less than mu2.
For H1, right?
Yes. I don't even remember how to state hypotheses with actual English.
Because it's talking about less time in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay.
Formal way of writing out the hypothesis.
So then for the words, we'll just say something like group 1 is equal to group 2.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, no difference between the groups, between the treatment and control.
Okay. I'll write that. And control. And then for the other one would be treatment has what is it? Less recovery days? Something like that?
Yep,
Or needs less days to recover than the control group?
Yep, I said the same thing.
Okay. Let me know when everyone's got that filled out.
I'm good. Ready when you are.
Good.
Sounds like we're good.
We're fine.
Okay. Okay, so 4, we got to do form step 4 of the hypothesis test. So we're just drawing the graph.
Thank you.
No, you don't even need the computer. So what type of graph is this?
Left tail.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's less than. Now we have to do 5 and 6. They give us the alpha, which is 0.05. P value. They give us. They do give us the information on the front page.
Yeah.
Anything into the computer, anything. So what's the p-value?
0.0027.
And what does that mean for the our result?
We would
Mhm.
Then we also have to state the formal conclusion.
Yeah, we gotta verbally state it.
There is sufficient evidence.
Or convinced that the new post-surgical treatment equals less recovery time?
Yeah, you said the new,
The new
Yeah.
post-surgical treatment,
yeah, I think that sounds good to me.
means less recovery time.
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Okay,
Oh, here's this one.
it says if the decision made above is incorrect, what type of error would it be? So so theoretically, it's saying if we decided that to reject it, but it should not have been rejected.
Mhm.
That is
So it's a false positive, which would come out to be
type 1. Is a false positive.
type 1.
A type 1 is false positive, yeah.
That sounds good to me. That sounds familiar.
Mhm.
Yeah, the type 1 is typically the false positive, and type 2 is pretty sure typically the false negative, right?
Mhm.
Oh, we're done?
Yep.
By fast, team.
Good.
Work.
You crushed it.
Prime time.
I'm gonna check in on the other group. If you don't have to stay on, but if anybody wants to stay on, let me get attendance. If anybody wants to stay on and we want to ask each other questions about the chapter 11 review worksheet or anything like that, or project.
Mhm.
This would be a good time to do that.
Let's start the worksheets.
Abby, you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I haven't muted I'm babysitting my sisters right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep up while I do it.
Okie dokie. I'm gonna go check on the other group real quick here.
Does that make sense?
Yep, it does, actually. Believe it or not.
Yeah, it's because you don't technically see 0 in there. You just, okay, how would you get to 0? You'd have to go through 0 to get to that other number, though.
Right. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense.
You all doing okay?
Yeah, we just finished number 1.
You're doing really good.
Awesome. Fabulous.
Want us to go into number 2 and 3 as well, right?
Yep. That's the goal. And number 2, there's data. I do have data, so but somebody wants to pull that up.
Oh, you
Mhm.
I was going to type it in.
I
I was
was
just looking in
about to start typing it in.
Where's the data at? Is it back in?
It's like on the 3rd.
Yep, I see it.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Did I do all this or did you?
Yeah, just X out of those. The answers are there.
That's saved in there.
I realized it. I didn't realize it until the middle of the semester. I'm like, oh,
Well
sometimes it saves sometimes it saves the answer, sometimes it doesn't. But not like I'm hiding anything from you, but I'm like, well, that's kind of weird.
We can just go to results and figure we're right.
Do what?
So we could just go and see if we're right. Go to results.
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder if all my ones. I'm gonna have to go investigate that. Okay, I'll let you guys keep working. I'm gonna go back to the other breakout room.
Doing on StatCrunch.
Yep, yeah, state calculator entry, just go stat, arrow, whatever you're doing, proportion stats or T stats, one sample, yeah. Mhm.
Well, I guess just a quick question for number 1 on the review. Would that be, that's 2 proportions, right? Or like if you because it's talking about voters.
I'll let your peers answer.
Come on, Piers. I'm pretty
Um,
sure that's the proportion one.
yes, it's calculating the interval for the difference between the 2 proportions of the 2 towns. I'm guessing the towns would be independent of each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
And that's when we would use the 2 sample Z statistics, right?
Yeah.
That's the only case?
Yeah, I would think it'd be 11.1.
Yeah, okay. And then the other 2 scenarios, we use T, but the ones that are related, like a before and after, is the paired, and the ones that are unrelated are just the 2 sample.
Yeah.
That's what messed me up when I was doing the StatCrunch, right when I got to 11.2.
Gotcha.
It wasn't until I watched the videos on that class, that lecture or whatnot, is when I was like, oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, so that's the only thing I really have questions about.
So when we're comparing a before and after, that's the 11.2, right? They're dependent samples, so that would be, which one does it look like? What question?
And that's just if they're related at all, right? Or is that like it's the same? Would that be like the same person twice?
That could be a situation, or it could be twins, right?
Oh yeah, so so like husband, wife, mother and child.
As long as they're directly related.
Okay.
Yeah. If you
It's
just,
not like taking people from Michigan State and people from Michigan
right,
and seeing their results. That would be the two independent
Mhm.
sampling.
Yep. Mhm. Mhm.
Unless it states some side of proportion, then it'd be the proportion.
Right. You're right on.
Okay, no, I think I'm good.
Yeah, same here.
Okay. Well, you know, are free to go or free to stay. You can leave the breakout room if you want. I'm gonna go and check on the other rooms since they were a little bit behind.
I'm gonna leave, so have a good night.
Okay,
Hi,
we'll see you
guys.
Wednesday. Okay, we'll see you on Wednesday.
I'm trying to write fast, sorry.
Are you good?
3, ugh. Okay, so I guess I'll stop at 3.
Okay, I said, I might be wrong. N17 is less than 0.05 of all post-surgical treatments. Because they're testing like the treatment versus the,
Okay, where did you get 17? Because that's where I was.
oh wait, that's wrong. It would be 7 actually. for
Okay,
both of them.
7. Okay.
I'm dyslexic. I'm not gonna lie, it makes things really difficult.
It's okay.
So up in the summary statistics where it says treatment and control, it says N is 7 for both, and I accidentally mixed up the 7 for N with the mean is what happened.
So then we put in parentheses treatment and then basically write N equals 7 is less than.
I would write it as
It's-
N1 equals 7 is less than or equal to 0.05 capital N. And then I would put a check mark, but I would have to put in what N is. I think N is just all people, so.
Yeah, all
So we don't-
patients.
So we don't need to write it out twice, like N1 for your first group and N2 for your second group?
Yeah, you gotta write it out twice because you gotta prove that they're both. That they're both.
Yeah, and then I put for all post-surgical treatments.
Oh, for N, for capital N. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did like N1 equals 7, and that's less than 0.05 big N, and then in parentheses, I did all post-surgical treatments because they're testing a new one compared to the standard. So I did all.
Okay, this is probably a really, really basic, knowledgeable question, but why are we using a capital N here where we did our 11.3 other one, it was a lower N?
Population.
Ah, that's right. I figured it was.
Yep. Little n is always going to be your sample within the
Sample.
population, and then n is going to be the big population.
I thought so.
And
Okay.
And I agree, Trevor said you could write big N, or you could also, I think Nikki, you wrote, or somebody said you could write all patients or all post-surgical patients, that's fine too.
Okay. And so 4, we need to figure out if basically there's any outliers, right?
Yeah, it's normality. First, we want to see if 10 or if 7 is larger than 30, which it isn't. So then we have to go to the plot above and make sure that it's linear without any outliers for both of them. So we would kind of write like 7 is larger than or equal to 30, and I would like put a cross through it, and then, but it's not. So I would say we'd have to use the plots above, and yes, it is linear without any of
Both are linear with no outliers.
outliers. Yeah. Okay, so are we on to B?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what is SC in your guys' opinion? What do you think this is?
The standard deviation of the control.
Yep. Exactly. So how do we find the standard deviation if we only, because we have the standard error of the control, how do we find the standard deviation of the control? Love you, Ma.
Isn't it upper minus lower divided by 2 for standard deviation? Or I'm thinking of something else,
I
maybe.
think you're thinking of the margin of error.
Isn't
That
it
one.
the standard error times the square root of n?
Correct. Yeah. So it'd be, so we get diagonals up and we get the standard error of the control, which is 2.5528, and then we multiply it by the square root of 7 because that is our sample. And then that shall be our standard deviation.
And then because they only want 3 decimals, it would be 6.754.
Is it 3? I always do this stuff all the time.
Yeah, I missed that too sometimes.
All right, what are the hypotheses and symbols and words? This is basically just step 1, right? In your
Mhm.
hypothesis test.
Yep.
Okay. So
You guys are doing great.
HO.
Trevor has his stuff down. He's really good.
I know. Both groups are.
I feel like these groups help me so much, and I really feel like I have really fallen behind with not being able to be on for so many times. Really at a disadvantage with it.
Yeah, it helps being here. It's 3. She's 3 today, and I was at my brother's. That's why I was a little late. And I was like, I hate missing class just because I like to do it in person because it just helps stick, you know.
I have to engage. Videos are great, but I'm an engager. So if I can't ask questions and then be corrected if it's wrong, like it's.
Yeah.
I agree. And like writing it down right while you're thinking about it, instead of just like, watching the video and then just copying whatever they're writing down. It's like, no, you need, and like you said, engage in the activity. I guess if you're watching the video and you're like doing your own stat crunch and verifying, that could be maybe probably just as supportive.
Yep.
I'm glad to know that you like the video or like the live sessions.
So what is the hypothesis here? Is it's mu.
Wouldn't it be mu t equals mu c, which is treatment versus control?
Yep.
And then for H1, wouldn't it be mu t is not equal to mu c?
I'm trying to look. lower. It's lower average recovery time. The very
Oh,
last.
I missed that last sentence.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to figure out. I couldn't find it either. I couldn't find different, lower, or any, I couldn't find any words. So it'd be mu
Mu T is less than mu C.
C. Does everyone else kind of see how we got that there? Cool, Karen. Nikki, you got this one with C? Did you figure this one out? She's talking to her kids.
I'm sorry, Trevor, can you repeat that?
Yes. Oh, did you already figure out what HO was?
No, Jacob called me, I'm sorry, and told me it was freezing and it completely just, it took me.
So your hypothesis symbols and words is going to be, your HO is going to be mu T. So mu is the little, you know what mu is by now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Is equal to mu C. And then your H1, we have to figure out if it's left, right, or two-tailed. And in the very bottom of number 3, it says, see if the new post-surgical treatment will lower average recovery time. So lower is our keyword.
Be our left tail then.
Yep. So mu T is less than mu C.
Thank you for that. I appreciate your patience a lot.
Yep. Oh.
And then it also wants it in words.
Oh, words. Oh.
It says symbols and words.
Oh my.
So for that one, I wasn't really sure, but I put the treatment is equal to the control and recovery time of patients for like the HO.
My question was, do you think, what was your H1? I missed that there for a minute.
The mu T is less than mu C.
Okay, yep, agree. Okay, just want to make
So
sure.
then for the HO, for the word part of it, I put the treatment is equal to the control and recovery time of patients. And then for the H1, I put the new treatment lowers recovery time in patients.
Okay. I would have skipped completely over that. So for letter D, step 4 is just going to be our stat crunch. So do we have sample? I mean, it's a 2 sample. Do we have data or summary on this one?
It's a data. Wait a minute, hold on a second. No, it is a summary. Right? Because on number 3, summary statistics, it gives us the standard deviation and the mean.
Yep. Wait, do we have it already? Well, I think we already have it. I think they gave us everything. They gave us the t-stat and the p-value already. Okay. So this is just a picture. We don't have to do this on the computer. They gave us everything already.
Okay.
Just gonna do it for shits and giggles now.
I'd have to agree that they gave you everything.
Yeah, I'm not even about it.
Trevor, I wanted to, and Mercedes and April, I wanted to thank you guys for really breaking down, because I just, like I said, I feel like I just could not understand, even though I went back and watched it, how to get the t-stat and the p-value. It just was 100% a missing link to me, and I could not remember which one to go on to on StatCrunch. It just, video, like I said, the videos are great, but without verbally talking about it, it just doesn't click for me. So I wanted to really tell you guys how much I appreciate you taking time out to walk me through that. Because now, like when you just did that, which one do you go to? Like it makes sense, it clicks, because we walked through it, you explained it, and you had me do it myself.
Yep.
You know, and then you guys both helped correct me when it was off. So I really appreciate that a lot.
Cool, cool.
You're welcome. And I agree with you. I definitely think that being able to have live sessions like this when we're broken into groups and we're able to talk to each other about it is really helpful.
Yeah.
Because I'm kind of struggling in chemistry because a certain teacher just shows a video with words on it and doesn't explain how to do anything. And I am not doing well in his class and it's condensed. It's really frustrating.
I bet.
I feel for you because me and chemistry, we broke up a long time ago.
I was so good at chemistry in high school and I had like a 4.0. I got like, I was invited to join like Pi Theta Kappa and everything. And I'm so mad I am not going to pass chemistry. I don't think that there's a chance in heck now that that's going to happen.
Sarah, did you finish your chemistry?
I took chemistry in high school and then we broke up.
So you didn't have to take it in college?
I avoided it. It's so sad to say, I am not gonna lie. I wanted to be a geneticist and I got to college and I was like, what? I have to take chemistry? I totally rerouted my entire, which I'm so disappointed in myself. That's all I try to teach my students is to like confront your fear and like you can be anything you want to be, but you know what? I was the first person in my family to go away to college and my family was supporting me, but it was a different kind of support because they'd never had to push through something before. So they were like, oh yeah, pathological resistance. I agree. Just take a detour. You know what I mean? And I wish they would have said, no, girl,
You can do it.
you're going to
Push
get
through.
through that chemistry. Right.
I'm just going to try to retake it and not do a condensed course.
Yeah. 7 weeks, Sadie, is too much. And
Like I fell behind a little bit in this class because of it, because I just couldn't balance kids and work. And then we have a bunch of people not showing up for work. So the past 3 times I've worked 16 hours and they tried to get me to stay instead of leaving at 10 in the morning. After a 16-hour shift, they tried to get me to stay until 2 p.m. and still show up at 6 p.m. I'm like, bye. I live an hour away.
I think it's important to not like, especially for us older ones with kids and stuff and jobs, like I think it's just so important to not put too much on our plate of college. And I mean, we went all these years already without college. We can wait like another year in the long run and just make sure we do the classes, correctly and actually information.
Well, I know that next term I'm taking anatomy and physiology, and that is the only class that I'm taking. And my husband's actually trying to get me to quit my job because it's a little too much. Like it's emotionally damaging.
Oh.
Like it hurts. Like I love it. I love helping people. I do not like working at an assisted living facility though, because I'm helping people pass away.
I know my daughter was.
And it's nice that I'm there for them, but like by the time I'm home, I have nothing. Like you can't fill from an empty cup. Like I have emotionally, like when I get home, I'm done. Like after I wake up, I can like be there emotionally for everybody else in the house, but like once I'm home, like after work, I can't. Not after working 16 hours.
Golly.
And then like I have also seen the worst in people because of it too. Like I've seen families out in the parking lot fighting over a ring that was on their dying mother's finger. And they made us go in and take it off, but they refused to see her because she had COVID. So I was in her room singing to her to help her fall asleep. And I just I like it, but it's not what I want to do forever.
What are you working? I guess I must have missed that somewhere in our 15 weeks.
I work in Tecumseh at Cambrian Assisted Living.
So you're a CNA?
Oh no, I am a resident aide.
Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of the same, right?
Kind of. I just don't have a degree, which means I literally get paid shit.
I was
I get paid $12.
I was a CNA for 7 years at a nursing home, and then I transferred, so I understand it.
Yeah, I do not get paid enough for the crap that I deal with. And then I actually had to yell at a coworker because she was being absolutely horrible to one of our residents. Like he almost started crying,
Yeah.
and I'm like, get out.
I had to report
Looked at
to
me and
people.
she was like, what? I'm like, get out of his room right now. I've got this.
I reported 2 people to the state for.
Oh, I told her to her face, like, you ever do that again, you're not gonna have a job. And then I reported it to my supervisor's supervisor, who talked to her about it. I'm like, mm-mm. And then I asked her, like, would you treat your grandparents like that? And she looked at me and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, that's someone's father. That's somebody's grandfather.
I would say the same thing. They have to have us as an advocate.
Hey, what's up?
I'm ready for a snack.
You're ready for a snack? What would you like?
Anyways,
Please don't touch that. That hurts.
So-
for D, we got the T value, T stat, and then the P value can go up in the top left above the.
Do you want an applesauce? You want a banana?
Trevor, can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Well, did you already draw your picture for D?
Are those sorry?
Yeah.
No.
If you'd like, you can also have both. You can have both. Okay.
Okay.
So our picture, is this just our,
Yeah.
our
See,
left
it draws
tail?
every time. So whoop, whoop. Left tail, right tail, what it is. P value up above, T score below.
I had to mute you for a minute there, Sadie. You have to unmute yourself now.
Right, you said T is,
Sorry, I thought I did it. I
no,
must have
T is
missed it.
below and P value is above.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have done horrifically on my stat lab because these things were not clicking.
My stat lab can get a little confusing. I get a little lost in that sometimes. I've had to open up the.
I think that I forgot to do a bunch of them.
What'd you say, Trevor? You had to what?
I've had to open up the actual textbook, like, for my stat lab, it says open textbook, look for definitions and stuff. I'm just like, I don't remember this. I don't know this is in our papers. But I end up,
Yeah,
it's always there.
it is. And some of the way they word their problems in there are kind of weird.
Yeah. And then for E, we got our alpha. So step 5, we're just trying to see if we reject it or do not reject it. So typical step 5, P value alpha less than. So Nikki, since this one confused you last time, do we reject it or do we not reject it?
We, hold on a second.
Yeah, use the yellow
If
sheet.
it's less than, we reject it.
Correct. And is it less than or not?
Well, it is less than.
Yeah.
We're saying our P value, right, is less than or greater than our alpha.
Mm-hmm.
It's less than.
Good job.
Yep. So we do reject it, and then
We do reject it.
for step 6, we can write a bunch of words down.
It's our conclusion.
Don't worry about it.
Us math people, we don't like to write anything.
I like numbers all day.
I can tell you what I think we need to write.
If Mercedes likes this part, she's super
Go
organized.
for it. 'Cause
I am
I'm
super organized.
there,
Like,
it's all in front
this
of
is
them.
gonna sound really weird. I have really bad anxiety, and organizing things makes me happy. I know it's really weird, but it does.
It makes sense. It totally does. It doesn't sound weird.
April hearted that.
Same. Same.
So I put, there is sufficient evidence to support the claims that the new treatment recovery time is less than the control treatment recovery time.
Mhm.
Can you maybe repeat it again?
Yeah, so I put, there is sufficient evidence to support the claim that the new treatment recovery time is less than the control treatment recovery time.
Sounds good. I like it.
Mhm. That's great. Mhm.
Now for F, I get confused every time and I have to go back to a certain page. Every time.
Wouldn't it be a type 1?
Probably. It's on
I-
page 26 if anybody else never needs that page.
Page what?
226.
So if our decision is incorrect.
So decision made above was incorrect. So we did reject it. Oh, yeah, you're right, Sadie.
Woo, yeah.
Maybe a type 1.
I'll be like 100% honest here. This is the best I think I have ever done in math.
The best what?
I have ever done in a math class.
Maybe your tattoo, just got you all hyped up and you just, bam, you're on it.
I don't know, maybe.
Hey, maybe I should go get another tattoo then.
I've been itching for one.
I have a whole sketchbook full of tattoo ideas. And I'm so excited.
I got enough freckles. I don't need no tattoos.
You can turn them into constellations, like connect the dots.
Yeah.
Funny.
That's what I did during
Valentine's
SAT
on
prep testing.
My mom used to get so mad at me in high school because she wouldn't let me get a tattoo. So I would literally take like little permanent markers and draw all over myself.
Oh my gosh.
Then when I was 18, I got my first tattoo and she was quite upset with me.
I got mine when I was 16. My dad said absolutely not. My mom says, okay.
That's how mine was. Exactly.
My dad would have let me, but my mom would have taken him to court over that because they were kind of divorced.
Emily, you got one too?
Yeah, I have 3 tattoos. I got my first one when I was 16 with my mom, actually. So I got a heart on our wrist together, like a
I have
little heart.
15 of them.
You have
You
how
have what?
many?
I have 10.
15 of them?
15? Oh my. I have like a bunch of little tattoos. I have 3 actually.
So you don't have any, right?
Huh?
You don't have any, right?
No. I'm a plain Jane.
My mom was so mad because my first one was like this big and it's right in the middle of my back. And then I have my son's footprints from the hospital on this shoulder.
Aw.
My mom has my sister's handprints on her shoulder.
Oh,
And then she has, I think, 12 or 13 other ones.
oh my gosh.
I'll show you the one I have for my kids. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but it's, don't mind my socks because I'm cold. But I have 7 footprints and 7 handprints, and
That's
they
so
each
cool.
match. Yeah, and it goes by order from oldest to youngest.
Wow.
Awesome. I'm gonna get my daughter's footprints on this shoulder soon. I think as soon as I can talk my husband into getting me another tattoo. And I've drawn most of my tattoos and I drew his. He got one for his grandpa. It's 3 koi fish on his chest around the Hawaiian Islands. Because he was raised by his grandparents, and his grandparents used to take him to Hawaii every year.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
So you drew that one that you just got, that,
Yeah, I have the original drawing right here.
That's amazing.
that is amazing. Let's see that.
Like,
I have no interest in getting a tattoo, but I'm totally interested in everybody else's. Wow, you drew that?
yeah.
Wow.
And then I made a copy of it, and I was debating whether or not I wanted to get it in color or not. So this one's got color on it.
That, Mercedes, will you put that back up? I want, my daughter Mariah came over to look at it.
Which one? The original
them.
or color? Okay.
This is,
Then
You
that one's
want
the
to be on the
colored one.
screen?
And then I did another one for it because I was debating if I wanted just a wolf. So I drew that.
That's
wow,
cool.
fabulous. Good job. That's really, really
Cool.
good.